Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. You can probably notice right off the bat that the audio and the video are a little bit different, and that is because I'm doing this video Adept Ape style. If you're not familiar with the Adept Ape channel, I'll link it down below. You can go check it out. I've been watching him for a few years now. He mainly does truck engines, Caterpillar engines, and trucks, at least. I'm going to try not to emulate him too much, but I've decided to do the video this way because when I started filming it, these first couple segments here in particular, it's really windy outside, as you can probably tell by the shadows dancing around on the door panel there, and the audio was not turning out well. So we're going to go ahead and do it this way just so I can get everything across to you nice and clear. Just kind of ignore how out of sync we are with the video. We'll go over everything momentarily, but I'm going to be replacing the window motor and regulator in this Mazda CX-9, working on the driver's front. I've already done the passenger front. So the tools you need, as you can see there in the video still a little bit, nothing advanced, just a couple of Phillips screwdrivers, a small flathead screwdriver, a 10mm socket with the appropriate driver. That'll get off all the bolts and nuts and everything you'll need to remove all the components. You'll definitely want a trim removal tool, which is that black handled piece right there. You can get those just about anywhere. A very good tool to have. And then the side cutters there are only just for me to cut the zip ties on the part here, which I'm going over the part number now. All of the part numbers will be in the description. Both of these motor regulator assemblies came from Rock Auto, which is where I get the vast majority of my automotive components anymore. A lot more affordable than going to somewhere like O'Reilly. Now, if you need it right away, O'Reilly's there, and so are the other brick and mortar stores, but I much prefer Rock Auto for that reason. So, come over here. To remove all of this, you will have to take the door panel off. There's a couple of trim pieces that you'll have to remove, and then once you get all of the fasteners out of the door panel that holds it to the shell, you should be able to remove it from the shell. There's just some plastic fasteners that hold it there. You can pick the panel up and get it off, and I'll show you how to do all that, don't worry. And then you will also have to remove the window glass to do this, which is not hard. I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty easy. Now, the manual states you're supposed to roll the window down about 4 3/4 inches from the end of the door panel there, close to where the latch is at on that side, if you know what I mean. You're supposed to do it that way before you take everything apart. I did not. I found it easier to do the way I'm going to show you here later on in the video. So we'll go ahead and wait for past Owen to finish pointing there, get to something exciting. First step is going to be to remove a couple of trim panels. This came off a lot easier than I expected. It may not come off that easily for you, but you want to pop that piece off there, and then there's this panel right here that goes right below the armrest. You're probably going to want that small flathead screwdriver to get in there. I was able to get in with my trim remover tool. And you do want to be a little careful because you will tear this stuff up. So that just pops off like so, nice and easy. Next, you want to come in here with that small flathead screwdriver and remove the panel that is behind the door handle. That will allow you to access the screw that retains the handle to the door panel. Just right there, like so. Not hard to get off at all. And then there are 2 lag screws. Let me get in with the camera there. There are 2 lag screws that hold the panel on. Go ahead and pull the Phillips head screw out there first. And then you'll pull the bolts out that retain the door panel to the door shell. Now, the next step is to get between the back side of the panel and the front side of the door shell, if that makes any sense, just like you see here. And you're going to break that panel loose from the door shell. Now, there's a bunch of plastic clips / fasteners, and you'll see kind of what they look like a little bit later. But that is what retains the panel to the door. and you're just supposed to pop them off like this. This is how the manual says to do it. You may break a couple, and if you do, I am actually not sure what the part number is to replace them, because they are kind of specialized. You can see in there kind of the white, those are the little clips that hold everything on, and they run all the way from the outside part of the door underneath and to the inside part of the door where it hits the A pillar. And you'll want to just get in there and notice how I'm prying out. I'm pulling out on the handle with the remover tool. That, in my opinion, is the easiest way to get these off without breaking stuff. And this side came off a lot easier than the passenger side. Everything on the driver's side came off easier. So I suspect somebody has been in here before. But when you've got all that loose, it should be floppy, like so. And then you can just pick it up, and that should remove the top. It's that felt strip that runs along the window glass. It should remove all that from there without any problem. And then you'll just kind of want to maneuver the door handle through the hole in the panel, and you'll have to disconnect everything, which I will be doing off camera. Not really a good way to show you how to do all that. Now here we have what all the wires look like. These are where it plugs into your window switch and your mirror control. Now, I did not unplug the window motor just yet because we are not ready for that step. Also, remember your courtesy light to put that back, because I forgot. What we're going to be working on here is removing the window switch, and we are removing the window switch. This is why I said don't unplug the motor yet, because we're going to use the window switch to lower the window glass, and instead of trying to use a tape measure, Powerstruck Panther was helping us during this, but instead of using a tape measure to measure the distance between the top of that interior trim panel and the window glass while rolling it down before you disconnect everything, it's a lot easier to just hook the switch up and run it this way. That way you can see where everything is at, and you can adjust it a little bit if you need to, and it'll all make sense here in a minute when we start taking some more things apart. But get the window switch out of here, just 3 little Phillips head screws. This is why I had the smaller screwdriver, and we can pull the switch assembly right out, no problem. Now we're going to remove the speaker, and pardon my head, there is a screw, and I should be pointing to it here in a moment or two, but there is a screw. It is a different color than the other 3. 3 of those screws are silver colored, and this one right here that I'm unscrewing now is black, and it is a little bit shorter if I remember right, but it goes in that spot. So just remember to put it back there when you reassemble everything. And there's just 4 screws that hold the speaker in. You can undo them pretty easy. I mean, they didn't fight me hard at all. And once you do that, you can unplug the speaker like so and set it aside. Now, these 2 little pieces here, I was not able to get this side with my fingers. But these are the access holes that are going to allow you to remove the window glass from the regulator. So you're going to roll the regulator down, and it should line up with those holes. Yep, roll the glass down, and then those bolts will line up there, and you can remove them. And then after that, you can pull the window glass out. Now that nut there, and there's another one down below I did not show, that is what holds the regulator to the door. And of course 3 bolts that hold the motor to the regulator, and we are not disconnecting it yet. Now to operate the windows, you have to have the key in the on position, so all your lights should show up. You don't have to start the car, just turn your key to the on position, and you can go ahead and roll it down like so. Now if your motor is broken to the point where you can't roll it down, you can pull the motor off the regulator. Remove those 3 bolts there I was pointing at a minute ago. You can remove that, and it should allow you to get a hold of the window with both hands and kind of pull it down as long as you're careful, and it should move enough you can get everything disconnected then. So with the motor disconnected, we're going to go ahead and remove the bolts that retain the glass to the regulator. Now they do have Loctite on them. I'll show that here in a second. So they might be a little stiff for you. You don't need to replace the bolts. The manual did not say anything about replacing the bolts. They don't really do that much work. There's not a heck of a lot of strain on them. They should be perfectly fine. A little bit of blue Loctite on there. These came off for me, again, pretty easy, so I would imagine for you it's a similar story. For a 2007 CX-9 with almost 400,000 miles on it, it's in surprisingly good shape, and we've driven it quite a bit. And all the things like this that have come apart easily, it's really surprised me when I go to work on this. That last bolt was giving me a little trouble, so I finished it off camera. Now, to remove the glass, all you have to do is pull it up, and you're going to want to angle it to the inside of the door, like I'm doing here, and it should pull out right through the top, just like so. And then I set it in the back of the car so that there's no risk of it getting damaged. Now, we're going to, pardon my head, and then go ahead and remove the bolts that hold the motor to the regulator assembly, and then I can disconnect the motor because I could not get that to come out without pulling the motor off. It was too difficult, and so now I'm just loosening the nuts there for the regulator just to make sure everything's free before I go disconnecting the motor. There's just 3 bolts, and they're a very aggressive, they're more like a lag screw, and I believe what happens is that when you install the new parts, those screws actually cut threads in the plastic because they are quite aggressive and they are quite sharp. So you don't have to worry about lining up a thread pitch or anything like that. Now we can get in there and disconnect that. I don't know that this side was better than the passenger side. The passenger side would not roll down. Something was broken there. It would not roll down very well at all. I kind of had to shove it. I could get it started, and then I'd have to shove it down the rest of the way. The driver's side was not as bad, but you may notice in the video, it's definitely noticeable when the vehicle's running how much faster the window is with these new components in. So if we look right here, there are 3 tabs that hold this part of the regulator to the panel, and you want to make sure that when you're installing everything that the cables do not come unspooled. So to get this off, and this is the best way that I can show you because you have to work through the speaker hole, you have to twist that to unlock it and pull it out of the slots cut in that little hole. And I believe I'll show you that in a little more detail here in a second. I'm just positioning the regulator upright so it doesn't fall completely flat. To remove the regulator, it comes up through the door shell here, just through the top where the glass would be. And the door is doing an excellent job of blocking Power Stroke Panther's grooming. Sometimes he really gets into it. So you can start it through like this, and then to get that part through, all you have to do is reach in with your hand, once you get it positioned just right, in the very middle of the door, and just pry it apart a little bit with your hand. Not enough to bend the metal, but enough to shove that or pull it out, and then the new one you'll do the same thing and just shove it back in, which we should be doing now. We have the new part here. I've cut the zip ties that hold it together. Yes, be very careful of that cable that it does not unspool. I have separated the motor from everything, and you will want to flip that around. It is made to do that. They just turn it in while it's being shipped. And don't forget to pull the rubber covers off of the studs, because I forgot to do that on the passenger side, and it was kind of hard to get in there and get them off. Just a little awkward is all. It's not the most comfortable thing to work on. So then, like I said, to drop it back in, just as you see here, pry that door shell apart just a little bit. That weather strip there for the glass may catch. Not a big deal. Once you get the flange that attaches to the glass through, the rest of it goes through pretty easy. And then you can reach back through the speaker hole, get it in position, and get it fastened on, which is what I've already done. Well, no, I haven't done it yet. Important. It's, in my opinion, better to line this up in here, get it shoved through the little slots, and then twist it to lock it in place. Then get the other part of the regulator in where the studs are and put the nuts on and tighten that down. That way, it's easiest for you to go ahead and get the cable wheel, I'm going to call it, in. And I'm going ahead and putting the motor on just to make sure nothing moves. If you have confidence that those tabs are going to hold that part of the regulator, you can go ahead and bolt the other part in and do the motor last. It's up to you. I'm just doing it this way just to be on the safe side that nothing comes loose. It shouldn't. The cables in these are in there so that, you know, unless you mess with it, it shouldn't cause any real problems until you get it bolted up and all that. And I will also note that this is approximately in the correct position from the factory to go ahead and bolt the glass back on. So you don't have to do much adjusting if you don't want to hook the window switch up and everything like I did. We're just going to get this all tightened in here real quick. And it does take a little bit of effort because, like I said, these bolts will cut threads in the regulator part to hold everything together. So we'll get all that tightened down there like so. Don't plug your motor in just yet, just for safety. You want to get your regulator mounted up and tight, which I have already done. You may notice on the bottom there that nut is already on. The top one is too. That door cable gets pretty annoying. So now we are plugging the power window switch back in because I need to raise that regulator up just a little bit. And I forgot to turn the key on, but as you may notice, there's something else I forgot to do. And still nothing. There we go. And so now, as you can see, it is more responsive. Like I said, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I am telling you that you can very much see it is more responsive. And so I just had to raise it up a little bit. Now, I'm dropping the glass in now. You should be seeing it here in just a few seconds. Now, an important thing to note is that when you get the glass in, you need to line it up with both of the seal channels to make sure that it, you know, moves up and down without scraping against metal or anything like that, or bending or twisting. And then the other thing you need to keep in mind is that it will rest on top of that regulator flange. When you get the glass in there, if you do it right and everything's lined up, it will rest there. So you don't have to hold the glass in place. I wouldn't go, you know, flopping the door around. It might come off then, but it does have little tabs that will hold it on top of that flange until you can get the bolts in. And that is a very nice little thing that the Mazda engineers did for us. So you just saw a little bit of something there. I had to get it lined up in the channel, and then you see those little tabs there that hold everything. It's not quite in line. I have to move it just a hair, and then I can get the bolts started, and it will go ahead and align the rest of the way once you get those bolts started in. And yes, make sure it is in that channel in particular. That is the more difficult one, and you can work through the bottom of the speaker hole to get it lined up, but we look good there. So we'll give it a thumbs up and move on to the next part. We've got everything in and tightened down. That handle, very aggravating. Might hold it out of the way. If I have to do this again, I'll hold it out of the way with a zip tie or something. But everything's hooked up and we're all good. So we'll go ahead and turn the key back on and verify that it works before we start putting the door panel back on. It should work just fine. Now, the one touch up and one touch down function on this particular window is not working, but I believe that is a relay or a fuse issue because the one touch down works for the passenger side from this switch. So it goes all the way up, goes all the way down, nothing's binding, sounds good. A lot more responsive than the old one. So just trying to test the one touch down, and it was not working for me. So now that we're all good, rolled it all the way up, we'll go ahead and start reassembling stuff. So the speaker is back in, got the wire in there the right way, hooked up. Don't forget to put that screw back in that spot. And that piece there and that piece there are a couple of fasteners that came off of the panel when I was removing it, so I had to pull those out with the trim tool, snap them back onto the panel there. Now also don't forget your courtesy light, because I did, and I had to go back and fix it off camera when I was done. But we're just going to get everything back on now, get the door handle shoved through, get everything hooked up, and then hook the top part of the door panel back on the door shell, and you should be good to go. But I forgot something else too. Forgot those little plugs. They're not essential, but probably a good idea to just go ahead and put them back in there. No reason not to. Now we can continue with stuff. And again, there's no real way for me to show you hooking stuff up, but it's pretty self-explanatory to pull those connectors. There's none of those little locking tabs you have to pull out and then push in and pull the connector out. It's you just push in on a spot to release the tab and pull the connectors right out. They're pretty simple. So with everything back in, make sure that all of your fasteners are lined up, and then just just a gentle smack, just like you're smacking a baby. You don't want to go hard, but you got to go enough to get something done, right? So get all that in to get all your fasteners back in. That'll hold the panel in place. And then you can put your screws and bolts back in. These two down here are more like little lag screws, and you have to be careful. You don't want to get them too tight, or you'll strip out the plastic that they screw into, and they won't fasten very well anymore. And I think that's kind of what happened here with the last person that was in. They got them a little too tight because I wasn't able to get these as firm as I wanted. It's firm enough. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to hurt anything. But it is a little bit loose. So when you get those in, you can go ahead and throw this trim piece back on. Just line the tab up where the switch is at, and then just like I said, light smack to seat everything and get her back into place. And we'll go ahead and put this little screw in here if I don't drop it. A magnetic screwdriver would be pretty nice. I thought the screwdriver I'm using I got from Atwood's, and I thought it was magnetic. It's not, and that's okay. I'm not upset too much by it or anything, but I thought it was magnetic, and it's not. Little disappointed. And then shove that piece back in there. Nice little detail. It makes everything look pretty. All good. And final step is to throw that on the ground. You have to do that. That's a very important step. And then we can line it all back up there. And this should stay in place. Hopefully it stays in place, because it really did come off a lot easier. I don't know if I grabbed it just right or what, but it came off pretty easy earlier. So now we're all good. That is how you replace the window motor and regulator on your Mazda CX-9. Now, I know that this was quite a bit for, as short as, I say that, it's 23 minutes. That was something. So I hope that you guys found this helpful. This is my first time doing a video this way, so I'm going to put it together, and I'm going to upload it. You guys let me know what you think compared to my other videos. And biggest thing, let me know if I'm imitating Adept Ape too much, because if I am, then I need to fix that. But if you guys don't mind me doing videos this way, if it's acceptable, if there's just a couple little things I could improve to make it better, and you don't mind me doing videos this way, then this would add quite a bit of versatility to the content that I can do in the future. Because every time I go out with the camera, the wind picks up, or there's some annoying background noise that I don't really want to leave in the video, and I'm not tech savvy. I don't have the best editor or the best editing skills, so I'm only able to do very basic things. And so it's kind of hard to edit those annoying sounds and stuff out, and I can only work so much movie magic to put a video together. So you guys let me know what you think. And if you like it, I'll do more videos this way. If you don't, then I'll make it work and do videos the old way, and that's fine. And I would rather do it, doing the narration while I'm filming rather than doing it afterwards like so. But y'all let me know, because that would increase the type of content I'm able to do and when I'm able to do it, which would be kind of nice. So y'all let me know that. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, let me know. Like I said earlier, all the part numbers and anything else I forgot will be down in the description. So I hope that helped you out. If it did, awesome. If it did not, I am very sorry. not much I can do about it. So you guys take care, and we will see you in the next one.